The previous test I just described is the one sample t-test. So in particular, we had one variable, height, one group, so we were only looking at all of the sample together, and we were comparing the mean of that group against theory or population mean. So we were comparing that against our 60-inch theory. So this would be in contrast to, say, comparing the height of men and women, or the height of students based on what state they're from, or the height of students compared to their weight. All of those would be different tests than the one we described. But in order to do our one variable, one group test against a hypothesized mean, we'll use the PASW statistics package. So PASW is software that facilitates many common tests, and the basic procedure is to get our data into the program, navigate to the appropriate test dialog. So there are many different tests we could do. You have to find the right one, select the variables that you'll be using, either that you're calculating the mean and confidence interval around, or the grouping variable if we have more than one group, and then interpret the output. So I'm going to do an example using a data set, restaurant.xls, that looks at the, it's a survey of cost and decor and food quality from 100 restaurants in a city and a suburb. So this is PASW, and when you double-click the icon, it launches the software and it opens a dialog that asks you to open some data. I just canceled it, and then you're just presented with this blank data set. There's 0 of 0 variables listed in the corner. So we want to open the data set in question. So I said restaurants.xls, so I'm going to navigate to it. So file, open, data. I want an Excel file, and it's in downloads, Excel data files, restaurants, right here. Okay, and it's asking me which range I want to import. It will infer the correct range by looking at your data. So I'm just going to push OK. And so now, let me just shrink this down to size here. I'm looking at my data. I've got some variables here. Location is either city or suburb. And then these were ratings based on food, decor, service, sum of those 3 scores, and then the cost of the meal. And so a reasonable test we might do is to test a null, our null hypothesis about the quality of food on average. So let's suppose our theory before we did this survey was that the average food quality was 15. Well, then we can test that from within PASW using a here, let's see, analyze, compare means, one sample t-test. So I'll do that now. All right, analyze, compare means, one sample t. So we are going to compare food, the results of the quality survey against against the null hypothesis of 15. So we had reason to suspect that 15 was the true mean for food, and then now we will see if our evidence based on our sample rejects that as the true mean. So launch the test, and here's the results. So we have a sample size of 100 observations, and the mean of our sample was 21.27. So our sample is larger than 15 on average, with a standard deviation of about 2.4. So the question is 21 different enough from 15 to reject 15 as a theory? The t-statistic of that test is 26. So that's a large t. T's larger than 2 are significant at conventional levels at that 95% level. And you can see that here. So significance, if this number is smaller than 0.05, that means we are 95% confident that our theory is rejected. So we're smaller than 5%, so we would reject 15 as a theory. Over here we're reporting, so the average difference from our null hypothesis and the sample mean was 6.27, and we're 95% confident that the true mean is somewhere between 5.8 and 6.7 different from our theory. So if the true mean, if this was negative and this was positive, then we wouldn't reject our theory because we weren't sure whether the true mean is above or below our theory. But because we're sure that the true mean is higher than our theory, we would reject our null hypothesis of 15. All right, so now is your chance to try it. So pause the video after the introduction and run these two tests on the same data from within PSW. So we just found that we rejected a theory of 15 for a null hypothesis of 15 for food. If we have a null of 50 for the variable cost, can we reject that? So that's question number 1. And question number 2 is can we reject a null of 20 for decor? So fire up PSW, load the data in, run these tests, and come to a conclusion. Okay, hopefully you've run the test now. So spoiler alert, here comes the results. And decor had a mean of 17. And so that was our theory of 20 was too high. And cost had a mean of 44.6. And so our null hypothesis of 50 was too high as well. So both of those were significant. And so we reject both those theories based on our sample. Okay. Oops.